I would like to talk about last night's Retro React, okay? Because here's the thing. The idea for Retro React is that on my DSP Throwback channel, which is meant to be reminiscing about the past and nostalgia, all right? I sit down and I watch an older playthrough of mine with the old style camera, the old style commentary, right? And I essentially react to it honestly in the modern day. And so far, we've done this with Red Dead Redemption 1, Dark Souls 1, and Heavy Rain. And each one has felt a little bit unique and different. Like, Red Dead Redemption 1 looked awesome because I was watching the remastered version of the playthrough that my editors are currently finishing up. We only have, I think, 2 to 3 more parts left, and that playthrough will be 100% completed over on DSP Throwback if you're interested in watching it. This playthrough has upgraded visuals, 60 frames per second in some cases. It's not always 60 frames, but it's upscale. Better text and graphics, redone audio, so you can hear my voice much better, and it takes out a lot of the echo and the nonsense that was in the original playthrough. And let me tell you, it shows because, for example, last night we were watching Bully. Oh, the audio was terrible. The audio was atrocious. You could hear all this environmental noise back in my condo in Connecticut. And I was like, dude, it sucks. You know, compared to anything I do today, it's really, really bad. And then I listened back to the Red Dead videos, and I'm like, oh, they sound much better. That's because they've been scrubbed. They've had audio scrubbing, so it sounds way, way better, right? So anyway, you know, Red Dead was an experience because we got to see the upgraded visuals. Dark Souls 1 was an experience because we got to see my old gameplay of playing that game for the first time, way before I ever learned how to play a FromSoft game. And man, did I suck. And it's hilarious to see me suck and not know what I'm doing. It's actually suspenseful. You're like watching me fight the Asylum Demon. Like, is he going to win? Is he going to win? Right? It's pretty suspenseful. And then Heavy Rain. Oh, my goodness. Heavy Rain was a smash hit. You know, a narrative-based game, one of the classic playthroughs that I've ever done that actually got me lots of notoriety on YouTube back in the day. And a classic to this day that people still rewatch regularly because of the commentary. So it was awesome to go through. And you guys liked Heavy Rain so much that we actually did it 6 straight weeks. Because the original idea, all right, the original idea was supposed to be that we were not going to do Retro React every week. It was going to be maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, just as a variety thing that I throw into the schedule. But you guys liked Heavy Rain so much, you kept demanding I keep doing it. And I was like, okay, let's do it next week. Let's do it next week. And it worked, and people would show up and engage and support that stream. And in fact, no lie, those streams made the Throwback channel viable. With the amount of work that goes into it to make it happen, with all the work that editing the videos, you know, titling them, putting them into a proper playlist, you know, for posterity purposes, and having that stream once a week, that was definitely making the channel viable to do, okay? So then we had to pick the next project, and one of the things that had been suggested over the time that we were doing Heavy Rain was the Bully Scholarship Edition playthrough, among other things like Mass Effect 1, Bioshock 1, and stuff like that. So we had a poll, and Bully won by a pretty good margin. I want to say it was like 48% of the vote went to Bully. So we tried it last night. Now, I'll be honest, I was already skeptical. I didn't know how it was going to go because this is not a fully narrative heavy game. There's a lot of gameplay elements to it and stuff like that. And it's not, even though a lot of people like the Bully playthrough, it's not received as like a classic that I've done. A lot of people have watched it over the years and like it, but it's not, oh, that is the one playthrough that I watched of DSP's that I love and I rewatch, and it made me discover him on YouTube or anything like that, right? So we watched it, and it was about roughly just under 3 hours of reacting. We got through 10 parts of the playthrough, which is exactly what we were doing with Heavy Rain. We were doing about 10 parts in each stream. For the record, the playthrough is 108 parts. So if we were to actually continue with Bully and try to finish it, it would take about 2.5 months of React streams to actually get through the whole playthrough. Just throwing that out there. That's how long the game is. About, I think if you do the math, I want to say it's under 20 hours, but it's still a pretty lengthy game. Okay? So anyway. So I play it, and we're having a good time at first. It becomes apparent about halfway through the stream, it's definitely not as fun as doing the Heavy Rain Retro React. Like, even I started to feel a little bored because the game isn't as good as I remember. Probably because, you know, I've already played it before. It's a little dated now. There's still unique stuff to it. I think the music was one of the coolest things about the game. I really like the soundtrack. But some of the gameplay was a little repetitive. And I'm like, and people wanted to talk about things like reminiscing about school days and stuff. And that's fine. That was actually fun. In truth, I had more time. I had more fun talking with the audience about our days at school and reminiscing about that than I did actually watching back the game. Just watching back the game to me wasn't that entertaining. Okay. And if I'm not having fun watching the game, it's not going to come through as a super entertaining stream. You know what I'm saying? So I did like it, but I didn't love it. I thought that it was just all right for a React stream. Okay. Cypress TV says that loud the loud sound that we heard last night on the Bully stream was my PC from 2011. Wow. It was that loud, huh? Holy shit. Because I was like, we always heard this ambient noise in the videos, and I'm like, is that the air conditioner? I looked it up. I played it in like February. There was no air conditioner on in February. So I was like, what could have been causing that atmospheric noise? And Cypress says, that was your PC. Oh my God. Boy, let me tell you guys something, all right? Today things are so different, and I'm so happy for that. I was such a stubborn, pig-headed, obstinate idiot back then. To be putting out videos that long of that visual and audio quality and not understanding that the audience was going to leave if I didn't upgrade, like, it was terrible. Even me watching it now, I'm like, oh, it's like hard to watch because you just hear, it's like, feels like you're in a wind tunnel trying to fucking watch this video. Like, oh, it sucks. So I'm glad now that things are different, but yikes, that video is hard to watch now. So anyway, so basically at the end of the night, all right, let me put it this way. Was it a disaster stream where no one showed up, no one engaged, and no one supported? Absolutely not. There was decent attendance. We had a good conversation in the chat, but it was nowhere near the levels that we had for Heavy Rain. Basically, you know, we didn't even hit the $50 tip skull, okay? We had a few super chats here and there, maybe 1 or 2 memberships, which is okay. And people are like, oh, well, this was good for a night stream. Well, technically, you're right. You know, usually my night streams don't do as well. They're slower, but I'm trying to maintain enough interest to keep this viable every Sunday night. You know, we easily could have done another game or continued with a playthrough you guys want, not doing these one-off streams that are just doing them for the sake of doing them, right? And with Heavy Rain, it was the opposite. Like, people were dying for more. By the end of the night, I asked you guys, what did you think? And the audience was torn right down the middle. Half of the attendance was like, yeah, that was a chill time. That was fun. Let's do it again next week. And the other half was like, yeah, that was pretty boring. By the end there, it really started to fall off. Let's do something different. So with a 50-50 split, I knew that I had to get feedback from everyone. So I put up a poll immediately. We actually did it right at the end of the stream. We put up a poll and said, hey, everybody, please vote on what you would like to see next week for Retro React. And here's the premise. 4 games, vote, and we'll do whatever wins the poll next week. If next week's stream ends up being more of the same, meaning less attendance, less engagement, less support, and it's just not as popular, then we're not going to do it every week. And that's okay. We don't have to do it every week. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm not upset at all. We have many, many things to do on the late streams. We have all these games to keep playing or whatever. So it's not a bad thing if we don't do Retro React every week. You see, it's actually perfectly fine. It's just that I want to be sure that I'm doing what you guys want. So basically, I put up a poll, and the poll was continue with Red Dead Redemption 1, which I think we gave it like one chance, and people didn't vote for it the next week, and then we took it out of the poll. So I said, we'll throw Red Dead back in there. Continue with Dark Souls 1, because actually some people on that stream were saying, this is kind of boring. Let's bring back Dark Souls 1. That one was really fun. So I said, let's put that on there. So continue with Bully, the third option. And then the fourth option is actually something that you guys had thought of yourselves and requested while we were playing Heavy Rain. Said, would you react to The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 1? So for those who don't know, The Walking Dead Telltale series was incredibly popular back in the day. When it came out, it was its own storyline of characters set in the Walking Dead universe at the height of The Walking Dead's popularity in the year 2012. That was when the show was blowing up on TV and everything was ultra exciting about The Walking Dead. You know, before there were 17 TV shows, 24 spin-offs, and merch and action figures out the ass, and now no one really cares about Walking Dead anymore, right? Okay, so, that game was amazing for me. Number one, super awesome to be able to pick options and have people act in different ways and then commentate over it. Like, that game, First, it was Heavy Rain, and then I would argue the second best ever kind of choose your own adventure playthrough I ever did was that season 1 of The Walking Dead. I mean, that was one of the first games ever that I actually started crying at the end because it was so meaningful with such a sad, depressing ending, you know? So everyone always loved my Walking Dead playthroughs, like always, okay? And you guys asked for it. As we were doing Heavy Rain, people remembered, oh yeah, the Walking Dead playthroughs were really good that Phil did back in the day. It's the same style as, Heavy Rain. Let's see if he'll do it. So you suggested it, and I said, well, I don't want to put it in a poll immediately. We just did Heavy Rain, so I'd like to do a little bit of variety before we jump back into that style of game. So that's why it actually wasn't eligible for this week's Retro React. But after last night, I said, okay, well, Bully didn't do so good, so let's do a poll, and let's actually put The Walking Dead into the poll and see if people would be interested in it, all right? So I put the poll up last night during the stream. Now, to give you guys some perspective here, all right? You ready? Last week's poll went up and lasted. It was live for a whole week. By the end of the week, it had about 475 to 500 votes within a week. It took a whole week to get that many votes. I put up the poll last night during last night's Retro React stream. This morning, 12 hours later, the poll already had 500 votes. What? So magically, the amount of people who follow the channel just exponentially increased in 12 hours, right? Huh? Like, what are you talking about, right? So then I go and I look. These people are so dumb. They left comments on the poll that were troll comments. I'm not shitting you. They left comments that were like, oh, do a bunch of pulls in the WWE mobile game and then play Bully next week. That's what we want. Like, I'm not kidding. Those comments were on the fucking poll, and I'm like, gee, I wonder if trolls were instructed to come over here and skew the poll. How stupid can you be? Like, I mean, you want to leave some evidence? You ever seen you got caught red-handed? I mean, this is like being caught in the act of doing it while 25 police officers are all staring right at you with videotaped evidence, audio recordings, and a satellite feed onto you. Like, how stupid can you be? On top of that, I had already been told by 2 different people overnight that apparently they've been talking about it in their stupid detractor circles that they were going to do this, skew the poll, because they saw that Bully didn't do good. And they were like, haha, if we get him to play Bully again next week, the stream will again do bad. And anything we can do to annoy or hurt Phil, we should do. Ha ha ha. So I'm not kidding. 500 votes, 78% of the vote was for Bully. Gee, I wonder if that could be fake. All right. So in light of all of this, I have redone the poll. I've deleted the original poll and I made a new one. And I took Bully out of it. And the reason being, I'm going to be honest, I don't think Bully worked very well last night. I wanted to be fair and give it another shot, but it just didn't seem to work for me. Like, I got bored. And if I'm getting bored with what we're reacting to, that's not good. Like, I'll be honest, I was not bored with Red Dead. I was not bored with Dark Souls, and I was never bored with Heavy Rain. I was bored with Bully within an hour. So, I just don't think that's going to work, okay? So, now the poll's been redone, and there's 3 options. More Red Dead 1, more Dark Souls 1, or The Walking Dead. So please vote on one of those 3. I feel like any of those 3 would be a fine option, okay? And let me know, your thoughts here all week. I'll be listening, what you think. But the funny part was, if you actually looked at the poll, yes, there were 500 votes, but if you eliminate all the votes for Bully, The Walking Dead was in the lead by a large margin. I think The Walking Dead had like 20%. Something like that. And then the other 2 each had like 4 or 5% or something like that. Like, very small. So basically, if you look at the initial poll results and you try to remove the outliers of the idiots, definitely people are looking at The Walking Dead as the next one. But that may not be. Let's see what happens over the course of the week. I am aware on the stream, a lot of people were leaning towards Dark Souls 1. They were like, yeah, Dark Souls 1 worked really well as the first stream. Maybe bring that back. So, please vote on the new poll that's over on DSP Throwback. If you want to know where it is, it's on the main channel page, and you go to the community tab, and it's right there. And I hope that you guys will vote. Now, Dab Hands just said in the chat, honestly, I'd rather see gameplay of current games than one of those. There you go. And if that's the case, again, this is a test case to see if this makes sense to do it every week. If we do another Retro React stream next week and it's slower and there's less engagement and less support, then I'm not going to do it every week. We'll do it maybe every 2 to 3 weeks as a variety event. And that way it won't bog down the other content and hold up the other content from making progress. And I hear you. A lot of people right now, we are happy to see the RPG madness end and just want to see good progress in all of the other games that I'm playing, and are afraid that if I keep doing things like this, that this is going to hold up progress because I just keep doing other night streams and other things rather than gameplay streams, right? So, let's see what happens. Please vote. And over the course of the week, I'll try to gauge interest and see, you know, how it goes and go from there. Okay? Fair enough? And also, I'll look at comments. I'll listen to what people are saying. Because, yes, these morons tend to talk about what they're going to do publicly because they're idiots. They can't help it. That's the thing. Like, they'll want to troll, but they're just so... They have no self-control whatsoever. They just want to, like, brag all over the internet about what they're doing. So they always give away what they're doing somewhere, and I always find out about it. Even though I literally never ask, people always bring this information to me without me even asking. They say, so here's what's going on, and here's the evidence of it, and do with it what you will. Okay, thanks. Well, fuck the poll. Delete it, because it's all fucked up from these idiots. And we'll start over and go from there, right? So we'll see what feedback we get. And again, I'll read comments, and I'll try to judge what you guys say here in the chat as well all week. And from there, we will decide what game will be Retro React for next week. Fair enough? Okay. Very good. Okay, so that's what's going on there.